an earlier video, we looked at topography as it influenced radiation. We compared a south-facing slope that gets a lot of sunlight to a north-facing slope that gets less sunlight. Today we're thinking about drainage, topography and drainage, and the fact that water runs downhill. So I'm standing in a valley, right? And so there's a reason creeks occur in valleys, right? Water flows downhill. So when this area has rainfall, pretty much every place is getting similar amounts of rainfall, but down here at the bottom it gets augmented water because we have water draining downslope. And so when the soil moisture gets saturated, that water can then flow. So it's actually getting water from up above as well. In terms of vegetation then, we see different types of vegetation in the wetter valleys versus the drier ridge tops. We call these moisture settings mesic sites, right? So they're moist, they're not saturated, they're not soaking wet. Notice there's no water flowing now, but enough moisture for good growth. And we see certain species, silver maple, river birch, or a couple, or this guy, sycamore. You might recognize it with its peely bark. There's a leaf from the sycamore, and their seeds are ideally adapted to this. So they send out these wind-dispersed seeds in the spring, right after the spring floods. They have a nice mineral surface. It's kind of been scraped clean, and that's the ideal setting for them to establish. So see if you see a difference in the vegetation, if you have a topographic variation in your site, between low-lying areas and upper positions. We'll take a look at one of those ridgetop positions next. Now we're on a ridge position. So we left the valley site. The ridge site is going to be drier in comparison because when rainfall occurs, it only gets that moisture, right? I'm on the ridge, so there's no drainage coming in from above. And so we're going to see a different characteristic set of species. One common one here is chestnut oak. Leaves look like the American chestnut, how it got its name. So why would a tree have this thick bark, do you think? Well, we're on a dry site. It's going to be more likely to experience fire then, right? So this thick bark acts as protection, kind of insulates the tree, helps it adapt there. So it's going to be a theme that we're going to see throughout the course and throughout these videos. Is this notion of adaptations, that plants have different characteristics that enable them to do well in a particular setting. Right? So the sycamore down here, the chestnut oak up there. Overall, it allows more species to occur in the area because they're segregating out, characterizing on the site. So down there we had a mesic site, moist. We would call this dry site a xeric site. So take a look if you have a topographic variation at your study site. See if you notice a difference in the ridgetop positions versus the valley.